போடுங்க. Okay, thank you. Switch off. You see a time limit? It's time limit. Is a constraint or?
Check, check.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. We now proceed to a session on industry case studies presented by Mr. Ravikant M, Chief Technical Officer, J&F. So, we invite you to share your thoughts. Let's give him a big round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, okay. I thought maybe there'll be loud noise coming from you. Hope you had a kind of a delicious lunch, and maybe what I was hearing is you had a kind of a very spectacular session. Good, yeah? Okay. Welcome students, professors, and eminent guests. Next 30 minutes, I'll try to make my presentation primarily on the kind of a few of the experience what we have gained for the last 25 years. I thought of maybe sharing on this space. Possibly certain places, maybe kind of a language or maybe any kind of literature may be differing, what we speak or what you hear, but I'm happy to clarify the questions going forward. So before we start, I'll just thought of maybe giving a kind of a very short introduction onto what we do basically, J&F. J&F is basically a kind of a company where working on a kind of a technology embedded with a kind of an engineering. Of course, we are coming with a kind of an earlier outgoing company, Hochtief India. It's basically kind of a German company, and we have an offices across the globe, primarily US, UK, Australia, and we've been doing kind of a projects more than 1,000, I would say. These are all only a count, yeah, with 400 qualified engineers. I would say primarily 400 if I say, it should be everybody should be from Tamil Nadu, I would say. Reason is something we can do, is a kind of a fact I would like to say. So how we operate? Being a kind of a company, a German company, where primarily focusing on a kind of a hybrid services, I would say. Reason? India is definitely a kind of a talent market, smart market, very optimistic, cost-effective solutions can be done from here. The institutions like Anna University, IIT, or maybe eminent premier colleges, we've been going through and getting a kind of recruits, getting trained and able to deliver the projects globally. So sitting locally, we could deliver the projects globally. And that is what is a kind of a legacy experience we are bringing in, doing a kind of all kind of a services what are needed in order to make a kind of a build assets across the globe. I think this is spectacular, I would say. Engineering is something which is a base. Definitely along with that, technology has to play. So I would like to talk more on this one. So what is something which is the built environment you can see, or what you're learning is something which we already have done. So when I joined this company 25 years ago, 99, a German engineer used to say, hey Ravi, if you can place something on the screen, the same thing can be constructed on the ground. So what is that is a connection? The connection from here, connection to here, to the computer, the what inputs we give. If you feel that this is something can be worked on screen, you can work on ground. I think that's a great philosophy. With this, we could serve a kind of a gamut of services from Chennai. As I said, as I said, this is what is a kind of a legacy of services we are bringing in. And here the topic today is much on a kind of AECO, that is AECO, yeah? I would like to add O to it. Basically, architectural, engineering, procurement, and also operations. And these are the kind of projects we could deliver from Chennai. So when you talk about a kind of global services, definitely we need to get equipped with a kind of all country standards. We have to learn the country standards. Of course, some places we had a kind of a barrier as well. If it is a German or a Deutsch, we may have to translate. In earlier days, we didn't have the kind of a Google Translate, but we used to have a kind of a transcript who used to translate every codal provision to us. So that is possible. And now it is becoming easy. So you talk about a kind of any standards, I think we are equipped with. And this is something which I would like to show is, I was talking about the kind of a technology. These are the kind of a bunch of technologies which are available in the community. Talk about a kind of a many products, Autodesk, talk about a Bentley, talk about Allplan, talk about a kind of any other applications which are available. Basically, we drive applications based on the requirements from the client. Many of the products are not available in India, were not available in India. Now we have an access to it. Allplan is coming, 25 they are coming into, but we were using this product from 2018. Yeah, likewise many products is something which got adopted based on the kind of requirements on the projects. Because most of the requirements coming from the client. Clients say this is the product need to be utilized for the benefit of the project. So we adopt it. So nowadays, thanks to technology, all the products, please believe me, all the products which are available on shelf are user-friendly. We don't have to, we take maximum of a week to get this trained because it is the way we engineering is thinking, the same thing is getting imparted in the software application. It is not different. The logic or the kind of an algorithms which are written is based on the usage and process. So that makes life more easy. We'll talk more about it. This is the kind of an office, we are very close by to this Anna University, 2 kilometers from here. You can always walk in. We would like to take certain kind of an interns and things. We would like to test you as well. Yeah, this is something which I want to, broadly I would say, what is engineering, yeah? This is the wider spectrum. In a built environment, what is something which is need to be done? I think we have experimented. We have done across all, on the planet, we have attempted major projects, I would say. So what, to whom we serve this? It is maybe a kind of a consultants or maybe it's a contractors. Much of the projects are getting into the kind of a D&B, what we say is a design, build, design, construct, or whatever we say that, or also directly the contractors. So what is happening here is, we are all very good at the kind of an upstream side. When the designs are getting conceptualized, schemes are done, getting into the kind of a detailed design phase, that's all very good. But when it is coming to the ground, there is a kind of a major challenges we are facing is the constructability. So that is what we would like to coin constructable engineering, yeah. The little plus is AI, yeah, because everybody is talking about AI. AI is getting embedded into the kind of project management, quality management. So what we do, we can get the kind of concepts getting delivered to the kind of IFC. IFC is issued for construction, or maybe we say in India, GFC. Or maybe we can convert the kind of the contract drawings to the constructable document. I think that's what we would like to focus much on to the kind of subsequent slides. Otherwise, there are many projects which are simple, easy, forward, that we can usually do in a kind of a conventional way, that's okay. But there are projects which are time pressure, which are very complex. You may not in a position to do conventionally. So for those projects, technology is a solution for it. If I have to put a kind of a context onto the eco industry, these are the very basic things. I thought of maybe run through, if it is something which is useful, like LODs, that is level of development. How the level of development happens from the concept, design, and getting progressed. What is LOD? LOD is the kind of a level of informations you are getting added at different phases. We don't have to add all the informations in the scheme. We will be, as the kind of a development grows, we will be adding the information, and we will be in a position to enjoy the benefits, extracting the informations. What informations we can extract? Because we are talking only informations. Informations in terms of a kind of a size, shape, assemblies, or geometry is something can be embedded into the kind of an application in the form of informations. I think this is something which you already know that, okay, I don't want to repeat the same thing, but what we say is the 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, and we can talk ND. As we say, is a kind of a 3D is a kind of a basic. We used to learn a kind of a ArchiCAD or maybe architectural desktop, which was giving a kind of a three-dimensional views of it. But now what we are talking is the informations. Those models are having informations and can talk to each other. I think as and when we add more informations to it, like add time to it, cost to it, add many parameters, you would be in a position to enjoy the benefits of it. Yeah, I think that this is what predominantly we do it. Say is a kind of a materials, say is kind of a disciplines. We would be in a position to add informations into the kind of a projects as per the requirements. That gives, as the informations are getting added, say is a kind of a most widely used material, concrete, yeah? Right? When you talk about a kind of a large construction projects, which are large mega infrastructure projects, where we have the complexity. This is the degree of complexity, I'll be increasing it as the slide moves around, right? Say is a kind of a steel or concrete or discipline. Once these informations are getting added, we can extract these informations, and these informations can be directly getting onto the site. And these informations are dynamically linked to the kind of a models as well. All the applications, what we say is the BIM authoring tools, all these things are all getting linked, and we can extract the informations as and when it is required. And of course, we can also do the kind of a sequencing part, what I was talking about. This is one particular thing I just want to set a kind of a context onto the kind of a BIM application, or maybe a kind of a, what is a high level process map, yeah? If you talk about a kind of any projects which is having a kind of a models which are coming in any form, whatever the discipline, whatever the material, whatever is the kind of a thing inputs we get, or we may have to put into a kind of a, using a kind of an application, yes, say it's a kind of a residential buildings, or maybe the easiest part, or if it is getting into the kind of a bridges, the tunnels, the roads, highways, whatever is the kind of a things, the built asset environment we are talking about, we would be in a position to do the kind of a modeling very intelligently. Intelligently means these are all parametric objects. All this has a kind of a names it can identify. When you talk about a kind of a wall, column, slab, whatever it is right now, it can identify by itself. So that is what we are bringing into. Earlier the models were not interacting. Now models can interact. Now you see the kind of, what all the kind of the built environment, you can see that here. You can see a kind of a facades, you can see the ceilings, you can see the lights, fans, flooring, all those things can be modeled, it can identify itself. Once it is getting identified as an information, it can interact. So those are the applications we are now having it. Which are the applications we can model, and we can also coordinate, it can interact, we can identify the kind of a clashes between these kind of a built environment objects. And we can also add the timelines, and we can perform the whole of this exercise in the platforms. No more now applications are applications. All the kind of giants are coming with the platforms. So that's what I was saying is a common data environment where we have a kind of ACC is a kind of Autodesk Construction Cloud, Trimble Connect. Likewise, we can collaborate all these models together, federate that, and create kind of a one environment where all the major clashes between these kind of models can be identified during the design phase itself. I think that is the primary first objective of eco-industry, I would say. Once these are all getting collaborated, we can issue this kind of a clashes to the designers and see that the clashes can be resolved. We can then produce a kind of a clash-free model, then extract the documentations which are machine-fed. What we are talking, the output files over here at the corner, you can see, these are all machine-fed files. Sitting in China, I can click a button, the things will be produced any part of the planet. This is what is the technology we're talking about. Yeah, so I would like to run very quickly few of the kind of experience we have done. Possibly few things are in India, majority would be outside. And these are the kind of things which are recently we are getting concluded, the kind of a high-rise project, where you see the kind of a complete documentation is done. Where all the kind of a civil, structural, architectural, all the kind of a services getting modeled to the kind of a degree what is needed, all these documents are getting issued from here, and the construction is happening elsewhere. Likewise, many projects I can say is outside India. This is something which is a mega project which is coming in Kuwait. It's almost all 250,000 square meters of a kind of a footprint, has got a kind of a many buildings where we are getting involved in the kind of an architectural ID items to in order to sort out the kind of a major clashes between the kind of a various disciplines, and all those things are getting issued over here. Somebody is calling me and saying that, yeah, can you construct this one? This call came in 2018, can we construct this one? So we just had a kind of a review and see that, oh, is this something which is possible? The documents which are done by the designer, it has no informations where we can extract and set out at the construction site. So we said, yeah, this is something which is highly impossible. This is the documentation we get sometimes. It is very difficult to read in the 2D format unless you take this information, translate into a kind of a format where we can create a visibility. Okay, this is the informations which need to get interacted. Say it's kind of architectural models, structural models, all the kind of services. This is the auditorium. Exactly, this is the auditorium. It has got a kind of n number of a kind of level drops where the services have to run through, and we have to resolve the clashes and produce the clash-free models, and we do a kind of a bit of a scripting as well. Likewise, this is one project what we have done sometime in 2014. Even the nuts, bolts were also produced digitally. We could really count, and that construction site have to just order these tables, go to the shop, order it, that's it. It is delivered onto the site, and everything is fully coordinated. So what I'm trying to say here, what we are trying to say is everything what is need to be installed on site, we are digitally modeling it. What are the kind of hassles which construction site may anticipate or face, we are trying to resolve digitally before going onto the site. So I think this is something which eco-industry is contributing towards it. And a few projects in Saudi also, the metro projects, it is something which is going. Yeah, and few of the kind of, all the kind of interior fit-outs, what we discussed right now, everything can be modeled, it can be interacted. Yes, once all this built environment is done, it's also quite evident we need to have this information to be captured back. Because what is constructed, there will be a certain kind of a deviations may happen. Because as per the design, when you are trying to install, yeah, there may be a kind of a 1 mm, 5 mm, 10 mm deviations may happen. So here we use a kind of a technology called laser scans or leader scans, point load informations you might have heard about. Even the iPhone can also scan this one. Yeah? So we bring that kind of a point load data, integrate backward into the kind of a design models, what we delivered, identify a kind of a deviations, and those deviations to be corrected because it is a contractual obligation for a contractor to deliver this to the owner. So this becomes a kind of a thing, and along with that what we have done, what I was talking about a kind of a LOD 500 models. LOD 500 models, hope this terminology, hope you heard about COBE. COBE is a construction operations building information exchange. All the kind of a operation maintenance, the vendors are having it right now. For example, I'll say the kind of a AC unit. Take a simple example of a AC unit, how this need to be maintained. So who is a contact person, guarantee, warranty, what is the maintenance cycle? All this information we can embed into form of a asset data. So we have a type parameters, we have attributes, we have components, we add the parameters, yeah? So we add the parameters, suppose facility which is in Canada, I can operate from here because any kind of I will install a kind of an IoT devices and there is a kind of a downtime and I will recognize from here, I will say that, okay, this is a contact person should go and replace the particular component. So this is the level of models which we are being developed in the kind of a global market. And I say it's not it's a kind of a global market, I will say it's a global village, yeah? Because everything we are in, yes. I think so far what I have done is a kind of a quick glimpses on the kind of a buildings. I will take you on to the kind of a civil part. This is something which we have initiated this project for 5 years. It's a 35 square kilometers of a civil infrastructure development which the client undertaken, where client has taken initiative that everything need to be digitally modeled. I'll give a classical example where all the kind of roads, highways, bridges, tunnels, interchanges, all these services, you talk about a kind of a services is the stormwater, the foul sewer, irrigations, electrical, IT, everything we have created a placeholder before a kind of excavation starts on construction site. So this reminds one example, stormwater when we say we build entire structure, we start digging here. Make sense? Right? So that is the difference between the, I'll put a context there. That's a difference between the kind of a developing nation or the developed nation. So the initiatives which are being taken by the countries need to be more futuristic so that the communities are well managed. These are all the kind of a few other road projects like similarly we do across the planet, I would say, because this is becoming a kind of a regular exercise. Every contractor would like to know all the design documents are well coordinated. Because sometimes what happens is there are some existing services on the kind of road stretches. You need to capture the data. It doesn't mean that you go for an excavation, identify a kind of an existing structure. They'll say, gentlemen, there is a kind of an existing structure. Can you please do a kind of a clash coordination? So that and all done digitally. So few projects. I think this project I would like to say that we have produced a complete rebar information and we have concluded that to pour concrete, at least minimum space between the concrete, the rebars needed is at least the diameter of the rebar or maybe a kind of a 20 mm or 25 mm as per the codal provisions. We all know that, but we cannot pour the concrete. So the design is becoming redundant, it's not working. So you need to do a kind of a prototyping of the design whether it is going to work, right? So this is one good example where we can also do a kind of a excavation quantities can also be extracted with these things, right? This is one interesting thing I thought of maybe quote over here. I think geotechnical engineering, who are the lovers of it, yeah? You get a kind of a lot of geotechnical information where the borehole information you get right now. You have a soil strata, let's say you have a clay layer, you have a sand, silt, or whatever the kind of a things. But what happens is for the large infrastructure projects, I think we also experienced in Chennai, like when we are doing the kind of a tunnel, there is a lot of contamination. There is a lot of kind of a chemical attack in the soil. How do you know this one? It is very difficult. Okay, we can know from the borehole information, geotechnical investigation or maybe engineer can know, oh, there is a kind of a, this chainage to this chainage, there is a kind of a contamination, but what volume? If you have to know this, there is a technology, it's a borehole modeling. You can do a complete borehole models, input all the data what is needed. It's already given, the investigators have given these reports. I have a kind of a flow diagram, I'll import all those things. I'll create such kind of a complex surfaces. So the complete soil strata can be assessed before you are reaching on the ground. I think this is one particular thing is quite useful, quite prominent, I would say, where all the soil layers and we can extract all the quantities and take decisions accordingly. This is one project. This is one project I think we have done in India. It's for L&T, we were trying to do that. L&T came with a kind of a suggestion, yeah, what are the kind of a precast elements we are doing? There is a wastage because especially when the kind of the concrete, rebars, and there is a big element is a PT cables. PT cables has interaction with the kind of a rebars. If there is not working well, you cannot fit the kind of the precast girders on site. So here we have adopted a kind of here we have used Allplan, yeah, in 2018. Allplan was not in India. We had experience of working with a German company where we have adopted the Allplan and we thought use the same technology into this project. So when L&T said like, okay, we are using some software company, but it is not working well. Can you please help us? I think this is the project what we have done. It's a complete application we have adopted, yeah, using Allplan, where all the kind of clashes you see, it's all little clashes. It need to be resolved digitally. This is what we have done, and we extracted all the informations, plans, sections, elevations, or what the information is needed for the construction site or the precast yard we created the barbing schedules, all these complex structures, it's done, yeah, with a very minute detailing, yeah, and we could deliver that. So what I'm trying to say here, all the complexity you can address before you reaching on the ground. This is one of the interesting projects I thought of pick. It is last 5 years we are working on this. This is an Australian project. It's got all the complexity, what is something which I could imagine so far, yeah. In my entire industry of 25 years, I think this is the complexity I'm seeing with. It has got all the elements, the design is fantastic, very good. This is the first time I could see that kind of for the precast, large piers of 2 meters to 3 meters, we have also used the stress bars. It's all precast, yeah. Faster construction, safer construction, easy construction, right? This was a goal over here. And all the documents, I think this is all we have done again, Allplan. We created the kind of documents produced in 2D formats. Say it's a kind of a reinforcement. Reinforcement was highly intricate. All the kind of rebars which are coming in diameter 20 to 25, it's coming in different layers. Designer has given it, but it has to be in a constructible form. That's what I'm trying to say. You can produce these models, high-level models, and again we have used Allplan here. It was a technology which was available at the time, yeah, and we could produce all the documentations, what is needed for the construction site, and it is a hassle-free construction, I would say. All the elements, it's a kind of the piers, the foundation, and the girders, yes. I think this is the last level of thing which I thought of maybe giving a very short introduction about the structural steel. Structural steel, I think recently we have experienced certain kind of a peculiar things I thought of maybe sharing. This is a very simple bridge. It's a cable-stayed bridge with a pedestrian and a cycling path. But the kind of a challenges we had was it has a kind of a double curvature. The girders for this particular framing, what was there, the deck has got a double curvature and it's got a pre-camber. So we were trying to wonder, okay, which application can work for it? Many applications we tried, it is not working. Even the Tekla was not working for us. It is giving a lot of challenges in order to produce the kind of a documentations. I think there is one particular thing which we have identified is grasshopper rhinos. I think this particular thing, if you can use, you do a kind of a scripting, and you can connect these things, live links to kind of a Tekla, we are in a position to produce this kind of a models. So what we are trying to say is the models are now getting scripted. No models are getting redundant now. So we are able to script it properly. Every parameter says a kind of a, whatever the kind of a, the thicknesses, the sizes, the lengths, or the kind of, all the elements are getting scripted, and we are in a position to control that. Primarily, we could also give a benefit to the kind of a designers, because there are a kind of a lot of design changes happen. You don't have to wait until, because for such complex things, you change certain parameter, it is getting changed. So that is one particular milestone we have reached recently, but this was a bit partial. There is a kind of another challenge which we have faced. Another challenge is this one. Hope you heard about the kind of orthotropic deck sections, yeah? I think partially, I think L&T for the MTHL project, they were trying to adopt this particular thing, but these were obligatory spans. But here we had a curvature there. Curvature was there, and also kind of a pre-camber. So what we have done, along with that, such complexity, client was not giving a kind of a time for us. We asked for a kind of a 24 weeks. The client said, can you do it in 4 weeks? So we thought, okay, we have to go back again, yeah. So we have to again rework. There is a technologically improvement happened from 2020 to 2025. We adopted this again, a grasshopper. We reviewed again, and we created a kind of a workflows where we can see that the models are completely automated. Now this model is completely automated. So this is what is the scripting what we have done. We don't have to do any manual entry onto this one. So these girders are produced, all the kind of the flanges, webs, the bracing, external bracing, internal bracing, stiffeners, bearing stiffeners, whatever the kind of elements, the connections, shear studs, whatever the informations, what you are now popping out, everything is automated. I think this is what is a kind of a beauty of technology we have reached, where technology is playing a kind of a vital role in engineering, where you can embed, you can try to plug in technology with engineering, that is not a kind of a mandate now, it is a demand. It's a demands from the client. And this is what the world is doing with. Across the globe now, look at the programs. I think there are many programs, I think. You talk about a kind of a Python, you talk about a C#, you talk about a kind of a many programs. So IT need to embed into the kind of a core engineering. So that is the kind of a message I thought of giving. Then only we make a kind of a reality much more real and much more hassle-free, and thereby we can achieve a better communities. I think this is a very, very short, possibly I try to see that, okay, major examples are shown, but I'm happy to answer you any questions, any kind of a thought process you have. I'm sure you are a kind of a youngsters who can think very differently, and that is what we are also doing with. The smart thinking, agile thinking is something which is needed in the industry. So with this note, I would say thank you, but any questions, I'll answer. I'll be on the floor. Maybe we can also discuss if anything, very specific things you are interested. And you can also walk in our office and experience what we are doing here. It's all happening very nearby. Yeah? And we also have thought of taking some of the interns as well from the institute. I think I know Professor Madam Jaya, I think. Yeah, I think we are already interacted many times. Yeah, we can look at a kind of a place where the final year students or the final semester students, if someone is very interested in any of the kind of disciplines, I think we can happy to help it out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that real-world perspective. Our final session for today is a panel discussion on evolving job roles in the AEC industry, industry expectations from academia. Moderating this session is Professor Rani Vedamuthu, former Registrar, Anna University, and Director of Mohammad Satak, AJ Academy of Architecture. Welcome, ma'am.
Dr. Rani Vedamuthu is the Director of Mohammad Satak, AJ Academy of Architecture, and formerly served as the Dean and Professor at the School of Architecture and Planning, Anna University. She is also the former Registrar of Anna University. She specializes in architectural history, conservation, and sustainable urban development, bringing extensive expertise to the field. She has also contributed to architectural research and education through her publication and academic research. We welcome you, ma'am.
Joining her on the panel, first we have Dr. R. Kumar, Founder and Chairman, Naveen Housing and Properties Private Limited.
Dr. R. Kumar, the visionary behind Naveen's holds a doctorate in construction science and has completed management training at Harvard Business School. With over 3 decades of experience, he is recognized as a thought leader in the industry. His unwavering commitment to excellence and sustainability has earned him numerous accolades, setting a benchmark in the construction sector. We welcome you, sir.
Next up, we have Mr. Ravikant M., CTO, J&F.
Mr. Ravikant M., the Chief Technology Officer and JNF Global Friend, holds a BE in Civil Engineering from Osmania University and an ME in Structural Engineering from BITS Pilani. He attended the General Management Program at the Indian School of Business, beginning his career as a Senior Project Manager at Hocketef. He later took on leadership roles as the CTO of JNF and Director of JNF Australia. We welcome you, sir.
Now, help us invite Mr. Kapilan Chandranesan from APC Associates.
Mr. Kapilan Chandranesan is an architect and educator specializing in urban and interior design. He began his career at Orange Architects NL and currently serves as a visiting faculty member at CARE School of Architecture, Trichy, while also working as an associate at APC Associates, a graduate of Eindhoven University of Technology and Anna University. He was nominated for the Best Graduation Project at Archiprex, Netherlands. We welcome you, sir.
Finally, we have Professor Murali Jagannathan, Professor, IIT Madras.
Dr. Murali Jagannathan is an assistant professor at IIT Madras, specializing in construction management. He holds a PhD in IIT Bombay and an MTech from IIT Madras. With experience in both academia and industry, he has held key roles at NICMAR and Lawson and Toubro. His research has been widely recognized, earning accolades such as Outstanding Reviewer Award from ASE and Honors from PMI and ICCRIP. We welcome you, sir.
Let's welcome our panel with a big round of applause.
Check. A very good afternoon to one and all gathered here. First of all, I'd like to thank NextGen for creating this opportunity for the university to have a Center for Excellence in AEC, as well as giving an opportunity to both students of architecture and civil engineering, as well as faculty, to come together on a common platform where we can discuss what is the future of the architectural and the engineering, civil engineering industry. So before I open up the panel discussion, I would like to lay the background for this panel discussion that we're going to have by putting down a few thoughts. Now, if you look at India's construction as the cornerstone of the nation's economic strategy, which has been emphasized earlier in our panel discussion, and it is pivotal in addressing critical infrastructure needs and providing substantial employment opportunities. Infrastructure construction, real estate assets like offices, retail, housing, etc., warehousing, and also has a major has always been a major focus area for both government and private sector. So hence there is no doubt that there are plenty of opportunities and avenues for professionals seeking to work in this industry, whether one is an architect or an engineer or a project and construction manager. Traditionally, for a very long time in the Indian context, the education of the architect has remained very distinct and apart from that of a civil engineer. While the architect is trained to design the visual aesthetic and the spatial planning of buildings with other value add-ons like construction, building construction, structural design, building services, computational tools, etc. The civil engineer, in his traditional, conventional education, is introduced to application of design theory from many fields such as hydraulics or thermodynamics, etc., and is provided with an overview of the many disciplines such as geotechnical engineering, structural engineering, infrastructure engineering, etc. As well as, in today's context, we have automation and, of course, robotics. So many novel areas are being taught as well. The commonality in both these professions, whether it's architecture or civil engineering, is that they both concern themselves with the built environment. Whether it is creating buildings for various functions and occupancies, whether it's development of infrastructure, whether it is in urban design or planning projects, because at large they serve society. So in this scenario, we have the emergence of the architectural engineering field, where the two traditional professions of architecture and civil engineering meet and merge. The architectural engineers focus on the application of practical and theoretical knowledge to the engineering design of buildings and systems, the goal being to engineer high-performance buildings that are sustainable, resilient, and economically viable. that ensure the safety, health, and comfort and productivity of occupants. Now, this is the global scenario where we have trained architectural engineers, and these graduates of the architectural engineering are widely considered to be creative systems engineers with formal training in creativity and design through architectural design studios, married with a solid engineering education and grounded in technology. So with the emergence of the AEC sector in the industry, the demand for trained professionals who can not only apply their discipline-specific expertise in conceptualizing, designing, constructing, and operating, and maintaining built environments in interdisciplinary team environment, but are also proficient in the adoption of information technology and communication. So this is the present scenario, and it is active globally in the building construction sector. So today's panel, we have the discussion which will engage in evolving job roles in the AEC industry, industry expectations from academia. And in this light, we are here to deliberate on the opportunities and various avenues of in the AEC industry, the expectations of the industry from academia, and how academia can play an important role in the training of these professionals to find their niche in the AE industry. So with these few words, laying this background for this panel discussion, I would now like to raise certain questions to the panelists. We will start with Mr. Ravikant from JNF. I mean, we know that the AEC industry is there's a major transformation which has been driven by evolving digital technologies. So construction sector companies are transforming into next generation architectural engineering and construction companies to enable improved operational performance. So in this scenario, I mean, when you were talking about your company, you said that it was a global AECO industry which delivers a whole range of services, and you have a whole range of products which can be used, that are very user-friendly. So in this scenario, what is the expectation of the industry, and what specific or novel roles in the industry other than that which is conventional will our future professionals have?
Yeah, I think that is a great question, yeah, to set a kind of a context to this panel. According to me, the first, it goes with a kind of an engineering, yeah. Being a kind of qualified engineer, I would say engineering is, or the kind of the fundamentals, what we learn from the university or institutes plays a vital role. Because reason, the technology is a kind of an addition or embedment, which is, it is going to become a kind of a must for it. That's what I was trying to emphasize. But what I see is the engineers who are getting graduated from the institutes like this should focus on the kind of a fundamentals. All the 4 years are quite essential, because the decision making need to be done. There are applications, there is a tech, everything is available. I can plug in all the kind of a text, all the kind of an algorithms. What I can do, I can take the support from IT, I can do this. But the decision making is from the engineer. A qualified engineer has to take a decision whether this is, it has got a kind of a strength, stability, durability, serviceability. It is something that is the basics we cannot forget. AI or my programs, what I shown, it cannot replace that. The aptitude of engineering plays a kind of a fundamental role. Still, I would see this remains a kind of a fundamentals for any kind of a project or complex projects which we are going to deliver onto the kind of a global village.
Thank you, Mr. Ravikant. Would anyone want to add on to what he has to say?
So to add on to Mr. Ravikant's point, I think also from the architecture side, this focus on fundamentals, I mean, what makes a good building? What are the fundamentals? And then the purpose. I mean, what are the questions we are asking? Do you want to reduce the material waste? Are we talking about, and like what Dr. Benny pointed out in the previous discussions, what are the challenges you're facing? Climate change or building performance? I think those questions have to be the forefront. And technology is a tool. And based on, so when I graduated and to when it is now already there, I've seen a big cycle of software. Softwares are evolved. What used to be the top in those times are redundant now. So I think we need to reskill, but that's, and I think also Mr. Ravikant pointed out in his presentation, it takes hardly a week or 2 weeks to retrain in a software. But when we know the purpose and set the agenda for why we are doing that, and what methodologies and processes that are required, I think then it makes it easier. And there is, academia is the only place where this foundation can be set strong.
Thank you, Kapilan. Now, Mr. Kumar, I would like to say that in a webinar which was just held maybe a couple of days ago, earlier this week, in which I participated, it was on the post-budget session on urban development, which was organized by the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing. And the representative from the World Bank who spoke at this particular webinar, he mentioned that there were only 40 construction firms in India who qualify for projects of $100 million and above. And these projects are mostly to do, of course, with infrastructure development, which are so vital to a country's economic growth. So why this lacuna in the construction sector? Why are we not technologically prepared to meet this demand? Or why can't more industries come into the fray?
Yes. The answer to this question is India is a developing country. India was only in the recent past, probably after the 90s, now we are changing. And of course, we are now, it's in the cusp of change. That is, by the 27, we'll be the third largest economy in the world, and we'll be moving towards even this second and even the number one economy in years to come, in the next few decades. So that speaks about the importance of the youth of today. This actually, the transformation is going to happen, and that's going to be in the hands of the students who are coming out of the colleges today. I think all of us will be out of the scene, and they are going to drive. So, see, we have come from a background where we are not thought very big. We have started thinking big on a global scale. We were thinking on a local scale in the past. So now the thinking is changing. Actually, I will say in the 60s and 70s, Garibi Hatao was the slogan. We were not thinking of building global villages. We were not thinking of reaching the moon. We were not talking in terms of scientific advancements. So we were talking about Garibi Hatao and the white revolution, the green revolution. That is the country we are coming from. So I think it's all changing, and this will happen soon. We see now the global CEOs of big companies are all Indians. So the brain power is here. We are the land of the Vedas, where we have sharpened our brain long, many hundreds and thousands of years back. So what has happened in between has been the cause for the gap which Professor Ronnie is pointing it out. Yes, we have shortage, but it's going to be very short. We will move fast and grow into a global power very soon. Maybe in 10, 20 years, you will see a sea change. I think people, the students will have to get up. It is all in your hands. It's not going to be, we can only give you guidance, but I think taking it forward, the kind of technology which Mr. Ravikant was talking about, these are all, see, I am coming from an age where we used drawing boards and T-squares and sketch squares to make drawings. And then the slide rule. I don't know whether you even heard of a slide rule, okay, in an age of computers. That is what we were using to do astronomical calculations was done with Clark's table. None of that is, we don't even know such things existed, right? But I'll tell you a few things when we build global institutions. The fundamentals cannot be forgotten. In fact, I will go on to add that what we find when we recruit people from today's colleges, I'll tell you the lifestyle is changing. The millennials, their outlook is very different. In fact, civil engineers, the biggest task for companies like us to ensure is to make them to work at site. They are facing a peer pressure. Sorry, I'm deviating from the topic because I thought I answered that part a little. Why we are not building global companies. We will be doing that. But we need to also do some corrections at the fundamental level. While technology and everything is growing very, very fast. But at implementation, at site level, there is reluctance for the engineers. You have chosen civil engineering, you are not taken IT. IT means you can go into Ravikant's model and then start designing. Everything is algorithmized and then the computer does everything. Now people want buildings to come, okay, printing, now printing has come. Now you print your home. Yes, that is going to be the future. Because if you have to sit in the air-conditioned room and create homes, I think the next generation will do it. We are doing the hard part. Now, still, no, the engineers will have to go to the site. Once you are a civil engineer, you must be willing to go to the site and work. The problem is, they are getting phone calls. Now that you are very well connected, thanks to technology, everybody has a smartphone. They say, I am sitting in my office, working for Google, sitting in my air-conditioned room, enjoying, and you are at the site, at the sunshine, facing the heat, and then dust and grime. So how are we going to motivate these people, the youngsters? I think colleges have this one challenge. If you have to make them employable, unless these are translated at site, until printing of bridges, everything happens. Automatically, you can do it from your room. You have to go to the site and execute. So this is an attitude. Ravikant was talking about attitude. The attitude to be at the site to create, like sculptor. The sculptor has to work, right? Okay, artificial intelligence will also probably do the sculpture. But I think until then, there is a gap of willingness of the student because the peer pressure. Civil engineers have to work at the site. Mechanical engineers will have to work at the workshop, whereas all others are working in air-conditioned ambience. This is one challenge, one of the challenges. I will come to that later, but I thought I will mention it here. So when we start building up global companies, we must be rooted on firm ground. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And would anybody want to add on to what he has to say?
Since Kumar sir spoke about academics, if I don't speak, it won't be right. So I completely agree with sir when he says that capturing the interest is very important, and that's a problem for us in the class as well, right? So first of all, when you enter into civil engineering, what is the extent of interest with which you have entered into civil engineering? That's the question. On top of that, we have to keep them happy, keep them entertained, and make sure that they choose a career path in civil engineering. Right? So, and later they have to sustain that interest. So there's a lot of, I agree with him when he says that there's a lot of focus on the academia to make sure that students are attracted towards this core engineering. When I say civil engineering, I talk about mechanical, I talk about electrical, and I talk about the core engineering branches. How do you retain the interest of students in that in the presence of much more very attractive branches like data science and AI and all those things? Right? So that's a challenge. I completely agree with it. And also, I'd like to just go a step backward and touch upon the points that was very crucial points that was raised by Mr. Ravikant and Mr. Kapilan also. That one place Mr. Ravikant emphasized on fundamentals. On the other side, you can also see Mr. Kapilan's focus on much more slightly interdisciplinary kind of a training, like when he speaks about, say, sustainability. Sustainability is not confined only to civil engineering. Sustainability spreads everywhere in all disciplines, including data science, AI, electrical, mechanical, everywhere. You talk about building enclosure, building comfort, it's no more the domain of civil engineering, it's a domain of interdisciplinary studies. So, and also, when students who come into civil engineering, if the students can have enough opportunity to explore these other domains, more than, in the sense, along with their civil engineering, then probably we think that their interest would still continue to be there because they are in a good institution, they are doing civil engineering, but they have an opportunity to get a taste of other disciplines. But unfortunately, what has happened is in most of our engineering colleges that we see, except for a couple of engineering colleges, the focus is, when I say civil engineering, the focus is civil heavy syllabus, right? You have hardly a few electives here and there from from management or humanities, or say few first year electives in mechanical engineering, basic electrical engineering, basic mechanical engineering and things like that. But apart from that, once you enter into a second year or third semester onwards, I'm not sure if you have enough opportunities to even think of other departments. Your life is confined to civil engineering department, right? So is it what the students want is one question. Is it what the industry wants is another question. Now, that's where, at least from IIT Madras, since I come from there, we had a very big exercise that a year or two ago, wherein we formed something called a curriculum task force, and a huge consultation was had with the alumni, with the industry. It was a long exercise. And finally, what came out was industry wants a much more multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary outlook among students, which is what the student also wants. Somewhere we as academics, we are probably coming in between and say, no, you read only this. Right? So that's where I think we did, I would say that it was a very radical step that was taken from 2024 onwards. A new syllabus was implemented. It's there on IITM website. You can look into that, wherein the focus is more on the students' flexibility to choose subjects from other disciplines. Like, for example, a student of, say, BE civil engineering can do a minors from mechanical engineering, can do a minors from electrical engineering, can do a minors from metallurgical engineering. That doesn't mean that the student goes randomly, today sits in mechanical department, tomorrow sits in electrical department. It's not that way. The students are guided with some kind of a courses mapped onto certain career paths. So there are baskets of electives that are created, that if you want a minors in mechanical engineering, these are the 10 subjects that you need to do. And these subjects are designed in such a way that another branch, non-mechanical student can also take up that. And that's where when you look at because I already worked in the industry also. I entered as a civil engineer into the industry, but when I came out of the industry after 9 years, I was less of a civil engineer, more of a mechanical, more of an electrical, very much more a finance expert, right? Because we always work with numbers. We forget about structural analysis, structural design and all those things. We are now very good in numbers. And I entered into one more domain called contract. So I went into legal, law and other directions. So I came out as a completely different person. Now industry wants this. Industry will make you do this ultimately. But now we don't have the time. The kind of advancement which Professor Rani was talking, industry is becoming very impatient. Now when you want a graduate and hire a graduate, you expect the graduate to be taking up all the burden. Of course industry will train you, but you need to be ready to take up the training. If you are burdened with only civil focused subjects or mechanical focused subject, definitely the student will not have an interest in the project side to talk about mechanical or electrical. I will never look into that also because it's not my domain. I don't have an interest to see what is there. Right? So that's where I think IIT Madras came up with this concept of major and minor, and also a number of things that were done, and maybe over a period of time we can talk about that. But yes, things are changing. Our institutions are going back and looking at how they are designing the curriculum. Is it aligned with what industry wants? A frequent revamp of that is happening. I think this is all for good, and in a few years, hope Kumar sir will be able to recruit better engineers. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Murli. This was precisely the question I wanted to ask you about, this interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary environment or learning environment that students should have. I mean, okay, while majoring in their core subjects, it is necessary that the options are, wider options are given to them. So, your learnings from IIT, now, I mean, in our pre-discussion, also I raised that thing is, I mean, do you encourage the final year project? I mean, everybody takes pride in the final year project, which, kind of judges, I mean, all your thing. Your final year project, do you encourage it to be interdisciplinary? I mean, do students from, say, electronics engineering, can they join up with civil engineering students to develop a project?
Right.
Does that, do you have an ecosystem which helps
Absolutely.
this kind of work, and therefore an ecosystem which could kind of generate startups and innovation?
Excellent. Yeah, excellent point. I think coincidentally, probably, just before coming here, just before starting from my office, I thought of refreshing my email box once to see if there's something urgent to do or something like that. When I refreshed, there was one mail from the institute, from the research cell of the institute, wherein they have sent out a request for faculty to come up with interdisciplinary project topics for students belonging to any department. So I am a faculty in the civil department, but I am supposed to offer a project topic which anybody in the campus should be able to take up, BTech level, right? So that is the expectation. And when you ask me this question, whether do we look for interdisciplinary projects, the answer is a big yes, we do look at it. And in fact, our IITM, the seniors at IITM are asking us to become more and more interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary in nature. So our projects that we give, of course, see, in any project that we do right now with students, if we don't use the word AI, ML, it is not a project at all these days, right? So it is compulsory. So it is given. If there is no AI, the student will look down upon me telling that you are talking about structural design, structural analysis. What is structural design? What is structural analysis without AI? So at least can I use GPT, right? So that's the kind of the need for interdisciplinary is there. So if we as faculty don't adapt to this scenario, I think students will go much ahead of us, and probably we'll be left behind. So to answer to your question is absolute yes, we are being encouraged to take up interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary projects. And in fact, yes, that has really largely contributed to the kind of a startup ecosystem at IIT Madras. You might be knowing there's something called Research Park at IIT Madras. It's a huge area where we have more than 300 plus incubated companies, which is growing year on year. And you can see a lot of involvement of IIT Madras faculty and IIT Madras students into that. And that's really working on wonders. And with this curriculum change, we think that this will be further augmented. This culture of research, of interdisciplinary research will be augmented. And lastly, ma'am, just take a minute. We also came up with this concept of doing a dual degree program. So you do a BTech for 4 years in civil engineering, and in your 4th year, you start thinking of doing your final year, that is your 5th year, in data science department, right? So you have a domain knowledge. On top of that, you have the latest knowledge with respect to AI. That's what Mr. Ravikant was also saying. Fundamentals are strong. On top of that, you have the AI and the technology available. And I think you form a terrific combination of a graduate who will be hired like hotcakes when they're passing out. I think, yes, this has been a good trend. And yes, the placement trends have shown that this is definitely what the industry wants. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Murali. And I think even the Anna University is not really behind allowing students to major in a particular discipline, and with, minoring in other too. And I think the NEP has actually given us a very flexible mode of operation, and I think all institutions should take advantage of that and see how students can actually fit into various industries. Now, coming to our panelist, architect Kapilan. Kapilan has had his education, basic education, of course, here in this very campus, in School of Architecture and Planning. And then, of course, he went to the Netherlands to do his postgraduate degree. And he has work experience in an architectural firm in the Netherlands. And then he has come back to be specific, Trichy, where he runs his own office, APC Associates. And therefore, I would like to ask Kapilan, okay, since he has the work scenarios of 2 places, one abroad and one here, can you kind of compare the two and how work environments are very different in the two things, or are there a lot of similarities in the way which we work and deliver projects?
Yeah. So graduating from Anna University, I should be honest, I was very technology phobic. There was this clinging on to this romanticization of hand drawings, which I still do, but then there was an aversion to technology, as if that would be against my creativity or something. And I should say my software knowledge or the applications of technology was very minimal then. But working on and then moving abroad and again employing there, like I said, it actually increases the capability that we as a designer can bring. And like again, Mr. Ravikant pointed out, the decision making and that is still within our domain and scope. So, and again, coming back to India and Trichy, we are a very small office. We are like 3 people. But what we found is that working in small, we work mostly on small and mid-scale projects and in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. This availability, and what technology has helped us in our workflow is that is to take care of the crunch to have our projects. And then what we are also slowly finding is that it makes us efficient, helps us make better decisions in terms of site executions, mistakes at site, and also gives a lot more time to designing or the core aspect of what we do. And again, to what Professor Murali was pointing out, the other aspect and what you could see from the presentations today is to not just think of these as buildings, but as built environments. And when we think of them as built environments, technology provides the platform for different people to collaborate. This I had a first-hand experience working in the Netherlands where I think Mr. Ravikant showed a very good workflow of typical projects done, and that is a workflow that gets followed from the smallest house to several hundred housing projects back in the Netherlands, which also challenges the way we think, and what Professor Rani pointed out in her opening note, that education, at least when I was still a student here, was mostly siloed. So we didn't know what happens in the electrical department or even in the civil engineering department, and they don't know about us. But when it comes to a collaborative platform, I think this attitude to be influenced by other professions to make better choices in our own domain and this give and take, I think that has to be from the educational background itself. And this is also to say that a civil engineering department or the construction industry should also have, for instance, the environmental sciences can influence your decisions. Like I was surprised to go firsthand and see where my building material comes from, for instance, something like tiles. And you'd be surprising the supply chain that happens. So all this knowledge actually helps us in getting what we could do as a good built environment, where with the concerns of today, it is becoming the prime and focus. And we are not, and as architects, my evolution is also not primarily on the focus of aesthetics, but are we making buildings that are performing well, that are adding to the environment in its own small part. So this is my evolution from being very skeptic of technology to actually knowing the benefits of it and in my own small bit trying to implement it. And I think that exposure to it has helped. And what the AAC, the institution that they are planning to set up here, I think that knowing the possibilities that are there, I think education can be steered in that way.
You use BIM software in your office?
We are beginning to use, but in my previous office where I worked, we worked extensively.
Okay. So do you see that by using technology or software for design of buildings, do you think that the architects could find a niche?
I mean, again, for me, I find BIM as a tool, mainly because, and the other thing is, like I said, it wouldn't reduce the job. It just frees up a lot of time for architects to do what they do best. It's to think of design and then free up time for thinking of your environmental performance of building, upgrading yourself. I mean, and then also to get from the drawing board to the construction site, something that still resembles the initial idea that we have. Because what we generally face in the conventional method, we start with something and then due to contingencies or errors on sites, it ends up something. And this is, Mr. Ravikant showed the large size project where it adds the tremendous, even small errors can cost several, and here for smaller architecture practices, it is also also for your everyday things, because lot of projects are also in the small scale and mid scale. It makes decision making much easier. And like I said, this collaboration also improves the final quality of output that comes in. So I don't think it challenges the architect's job. It just equips them much better to do it. And it's the next level of evolution there is.
Okay, then, but I want to ask you one more question. Maybe Professor Murli can also answer that. I mean, there's a general fear in the industry that with the coming of the architectural engineering as a profession, I mean, architecture is going to kind of, move backwards or slowly fade away. I mean, how do you see the future of architecture? Will it survive if we work in an interdisciplinary environment? Because architects are trained primarily to do the spatial visualization of buildings, etc., which is very vital to the manifestation of a project itself. And all these other things are added tools to make the project get realized as we have conceptualized it. So do you think, I mean, this is something which, why I'm raising it to the audience is that, I mean, there's a lot of discussions among architect circles in the Indian Institute of Architects, in the Institution of Engineers, et cetera, this great big danger of architectural engineering, which is promoted as a part of civil engineering, I mean, kind of, taking over from the architecture as a pure discipline.
So I mean, as architects, I think our final concern should be on the quality of the built environment, and it is a teamwork's job. I mean, it is, and we should admit, as buildings get complex, as the project times get constrained, and then we have different programs, we have different systems into it. We are not the experts of everything. I mean, we play a crucial role with the team as the structural engineer, as the civil engineer, as the HVAC consultant, and I think a synergy between these roles would actually lead to better design. And this is not just at the building level, there should be synergy at the larger level with urban planners and designers and infrastructure planning. And I think from the bigger scale to the smaller scale, if we can find common ground and work together, collaborate, and that's where the true value is, rather than silos.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, what you're trying to say is it actually generates a lot more opportunities.
Definitely, opportunities, right? And solutions that we have not had before. So.
Yeah, would you, Mr. Ravikant, want to comment on this?
Yeah, it's quite interesting question. I think it was ringing in my mind. For me, okay, being a kind of a structural kind of a background, I would say architectural is always a kind of an origin, I would say. Yeah? That's what I always propagate to the clients and also the kind of youngsters who join the industry. How I see is architectural, yes, being a kind of the functional design originates from an architect. Yeah? That is a base point. Of course, the kind of an applications, if you look at, to my understanding, we are adopting to very, very limited side of it. Possibly, I think Kaplan has seen a kind of the world across in the Netherlands and European market. When you get out of it, the scope of architect enhances, yeah, according to me. And I see a kind of enormous demand in architecture as a kind of a functional part of it, which plays a kind of a very crucial role in the buildings part. Of course, the buildings, we are very strong. I see the landscape of building architecture is getting propagated onto the kind of infrastructure as well. One example which I was showcasing, the bridges what we're doing in Far East are getting garnished here. Basically, if any kind of a driveway goes in, people should have a good feel of it. Basically, architecture is a kind of a functionality. Suppose we are sitting in this hall, I don't think so any of the architects will look at this design, yeah? I'm very sure. Because architects don't want to see any obstructions, yeah? The first thing, I'll cut off the fans, yeah? Very simple way. because they want to have a kind of a seamless integration of the functionality. That's what the designs I was trying to showcase, which I have not gone too deep into it, but this is what is a kind of a demand globally is wanting us to do. Yeah, I'm not a kind of a architectural design, but I'm learning the concepts, guidelines, which has to propagate into the kind of a science. Because unless I meet the kind of a functionality, I may not be very happy person. So architecture, I would say definitely in my perspective, it's a huge demand, and we're looking for lot many engineers, lot many architects to our office. We are unable to filter that. Yeah.
That's
So,
very good to hear.
yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Say, Mr. Kumar.
Yes. In fact, I would like to take on from what Professor Murali was talking about, multidisciplinary approach, which is required. Yes, at Naveen's, we find when a civil engineer, he does some work, he is not able to understand that even the electrical, plumbing, MEPC, forget about the sustainability aspects of the building. He stops at the level of civil engineering, and even in civil engineering, when we say the plasticity, the flow of concrete, beyond water cement ratio, using admixtures, how do we achieve? Even there, it is when we are trying to fly on AI and BIM and things like that, even at the fundamental levels, I find there is missing links. So, while we talk about multidisciplinary, even specialization in one thing, if it is lacking, jack of all trades but master of none doesn't help. Today, it's all about actually specialization, and I think Kapilan hit the nail on its head when he said collaboration. An architect cannot solve all. See, the difference between architecture and engineering is like writing a very beautiful essay, communicating what is to be done. But architecture is making like it into a poem. A poem, only beautiful words will not help. It has to convey the message like those Pattukote Kalyanasundaram songs. It has to reform the society. So that is the difference between architecture and engineering, where you draw the line, of course. The poetic part is what architecture is said to be the slowest of all performing arts. Let's not forget. And now a lot of science is getting in. Architecture is no more just an art. Lot of science like BAM. Now you have to do energy modeling. Now it's all, science is now entering into everything. But in such circumstances, what I expect is a more than a multidisciplinary approach, a collaborative approach with an understanding. And institutions, I would recommend this, actually what we find, see, you go abroad, the new technology, ideas, newer technologies into the industry. Industry is coming back, lagging behind and now following this. Whereas in India, I think we must look at our syllabus. We have some age-old syllabus, probably from Macaulay period. They have been drafted and then we just faithfully follow. We are not getting ahead of, see, we go and set the standards for the industry rather than trying to catch up with the, see, we are even now discussing how our students can catch up with industry needs. Why not we create students who can now go and lead the industry and take it forward to the next level? You asked the question, why India is not growing into such big companies? I think the education system, I think my request to all our professors and all learned people here, look at our educational system and then see, it has to create a conducive, see, the young mind dreams a lot, thinks a lot. They are very, very powerful. And We must create an enabling environment. That is what, fundamentals, okay, it's a civil engineer. Civil engineering fundamental, what is tension, what is compression, what is bending, where you have to place the steel, and what is concrete, what is flow. Fundamental, if this is strong, I mean, if cantilever, where the reinforcement is to be kept is not understood by the civil engineer, what are we talking about interdisciplinary? I mean, this is, I want the fundamentals to be made strong, and then an environment in which people, they can pursue whatever their passion. It has to come from within. The adivaithilendu varanum solluvaanga. That and the fire has to be lit by the colleges. Rather than, no, I will produce. No, don't produce. Request colleges just be an enabler. Let it be a fertile ground for the students to grow in whatever way they want. You be the fertile soil. And that is how our curriculum has to be. While we create the fundamental basic knowledge of any particular discipline, allow the students to blossom and then be the leaders of tomorrow. That is what I talk about. India is going to be the number 3 in 2027, the third largest economy. 2052, I think, second. By 2070, we are going to be the number 1 economy in the world. Are we getting ready? I think these are the kind of questions we need to ask rather than trying to catch up in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Do we have time to take questions from the floor? I mean, we can take a couple of questions, and it can be asked to specific panelists. Yeah, okay, 3-4 questions. This always happens when Yes, so the important takeaways from this panel discussion is like, yes, there has to be emphasis and core learning of the disciplines. I mean, we cannot, shy away from learning the basics and be grounded in the basics of the particular discipline that we have got admitted to, whether it's architecture or civil engineering. And we need to use technology to enable and take us further. While the industry is doing that and I think the educational institutions also need to find their way forward from there. And the learning environments that we are talking of is like definitely to be interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, whatever you call it, or collaborative. And no discipline can remain in isolation because especially if you look at the AEC sector, it actually brings various disciplines which are concerned with the built environment together on a common platform. So therefore, yes, to the Anna University, today we have signed the MOU with Nemechek, okay. Sorry for that. But then it is called the Center of Excellence for Civil Engineering, right?
For AEC.
AEC, for civil engineers. For civil engineering. So my humble request is that this platform or whatever center you have said should spark off the interdisciplinary learning environment. It should involve, definitely the architects, definitely planners, and other professionals which are involved in some way or the other in designing and making of our built environments. So this is my humble request, and I'm sure all my panelists would agree on that because that was the core discussion that we took forward. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Dipankar.
If you are finished, I will ask one question.
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Dipankar. So this question is to Professor Murli from IITM. Most of the colleges when I go, they see, they are closing down civil engineering, they're declining enrollments, and there are, and the scenario and the management is least bothered, if I may say so very crudely. So what can eminent institutions like IIT, do for the education ecosystem at large to if I may say, to solve this, this issue at large?
Yeah, so very nice question that you have asked, and yes, luckily IIT Madras has not faced that situation till now. But yes, this threat of a lot of civil engineering departments in many colleges closing down is real, and there is also some discussions, tea time discussions that we keep happening at the department, saying that maybe 10 years down the line we don't have civil engineers at all in the market. In a way, that might increase the demand and that might increase the salaries of whoever is remaining. That's one positive side of it. But largely the country, which is very hungry for civil engineers right now, with the kind of the global outlay, the country's outlay that Professor Rani was saying, yes, we need a good breed of civil engineers. Now, what do we do to retain them? Again, I'll go back to the point that I started off with initially, that it's what, again, Mr. Kumar said, that you create that environment that they start falling in love with the subject, right? So rather than saying them that this is the content, this is the course, these are the 400 credits that you need to do, and this is prescribed to you, just follow it. Rather than that, tell them that, okay, this is the set of fundamental courses that you need, and beyond this, these are the options that you have, these are the career paths that you can choose, and allow them to go in a flow. And at the same time, again, when we are talking about these engineering students, they are hardly 19, 20 years, and when it's too young an age for them to make such decisions which is going to impact their life in the next 60, 70 years, right? So there should be a guidance from the institution. That is where the onus falls on us as teachers and academicians to prepare these career paths by talking to the industry, closely working with the industry and saying that, okay, if these are the courses and subjects that you choose, you will probably end up in this particular direction, right? So maybe use an artificial intelligence to predict what could be the future when you take these courses, so to make it very interesting. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that rather than forcing the students with a curriculum that is very rigid, give a curriculum that covers the basics and give them enough freedom to choose with an appropriate guidance from the institute. That's what I would say.
Thanks.
Professor Murli, I would just like to add, yes, he said at the young age of 18, 19 years, it's too difficult for you to expect the students on their own to choose or take a path. So that is where the research at the PhD level, at higher levels, in the same institution, people who are in the 30s, right, they are the research work which they are doing is the one which will inspire the students to come into that kind of a system. Right. So what the colleges should encourage is to do a lot of research with people who are already qualified in engineering, in whatever disciplines. Form those, let that be the core, and that should attract students. That's what is happening in, when I went to Harvard Business School, what is that happening is the kind of research people are doing there, and students are getting pulled. This is what I think is to be focused on, which is missing completely. And that is where the institutions can take a lead role in taking the country forward rather than waiting for the industry to come from behind.
Absolutely, fully agree.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Kanmani. I'm heading the Department of Civil Engineering here in College of Engineering, Guindy. Ma'am, this session really very wonderful and excellent. We all really enjoyed. And I'm representing the students even at College of Engineering, Guindy. Okay, they are liking the subject. It's not like they are not liking the subject, etc. It is the simple request. When they are at the final year, if the job market is giving the assurance about the placement, could it be in the construction sector or allied, and that is the only request which they are making. At the moment, even for this present final year, this civil department, out of 100 plus, 190 plus students, only 6 are placed in the construction industry. So it is like construction industry is in need of engineers with certain characteristics, and the students are like looking for the job. There should be like some interface, and the students are, in my personal opinion, they could be molded And this interface, if it is getting bridged like the Nimashati initiative like this, and if the job assurance is ensured, the students' quality and their output deliverables would be very excellent. And so that is the humble submission. Yeah. Once if it is done, civil engineering market la declining kadayadu. Civil engineering market could be made consistent. Yes.
I think that's where the involvement of industry throughout the growth of the students in the 4 years in the BTech, I think that's where it is very important. And that's the point which earlier also the panel was deliberating on, that this hand-holding between industry and academia becomes very important. And this initiative that you have taken, I think, is a very, very positive step in this direction, which will definitely have good results, is what I feel.
Well, that was a very interesting.
My name is Satish. Sorry, sir. You continue?
No.
Yeah, my name is Satish. I actually represent Nemechek here. I have a serious suggestion which I thought I'll just put it to this panelist and also to the students. What exactly happens is, when we saw this movie called as Three Idiots, where they always say that you are in a race and you need to actually get an employment after you finish the college. I think that's first we need to stop. I think when they finish this 4th year of civil engineering or architecture or the construction management, I think 1 year they need to work in any organization without salary. This will help them to actually understand what is that the real job market required. After that, with that knowledge, if they actually apply for a job, it's absolutely, I think they will be getting a job. I think today we blame the institution for not giving proper education, and the industry actually tells that they don't know the fundamentals and they come and ask for a job. I think we both have to join hands when we are actually looking at getting into a place where we can see a future for these future leaders who is going to create a future India. I think this is a humble thought I thought I'll just share in this crowd. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. That was a very interesting.
1 minute.
Yeah, I think one perspective. I think professor and I think what you have said right now. Suddenly, I think I see there is a kind of a little bit of a gap between the kind of universities and maybe the industry, I would say. Yeah? The demand in the kind of a subject, I would say the thing what we are talking is architectural, civil. I feel these are all kind of a mother engineering and the origins. Yeah, what you rightly identified, this will continue. I don't think so is a kind of a change is going to destroy, I think. Yeah, because this has to happen. Only one perspective I have is, yes, the students, what you have inculcating a kind of an interest are all good. Possibly the prospects need to be inculcated, yeah. Certainly I think we can help you in that. Yes. J&F can certainly help you. And Kumar sir also, I think, is just now was talking, there is a kind of a demand on other side of it, yeah. It's only the skill is missing. So there is a little bit of a skill which I was talking about is the engineering, is the fundamentals. And I mentioned about the kind of a technology need to be embedded. And that's what the Nemechek has taken initiative. And this is what is a kind of a product which can solve the kind of a things from upstream to downstream. I think that need to be inculcated into the academics, saying that, okay, there is a kind of a large prospects of learning. What is learned can be adopted with a kind of a technology. I think there is a lot to talk. I think we can certainly discuss, open for discussion. And I would say is a great prospects for engineers, I would say, architects, I would say, yeah. Because literally we are, as an industry, we are suffering, I would say. And another perspective, I would say, India has got a kind of a great opportunity for this one, because all the kind of a consultants you talk about UK, US, Canada, whatever the consultants, everybody has opened their shops called GCC. It's a global competence center. Reason is basically on the cost-effective solutions. So we are, yes, I would say the engineering side is not bad, because why I'm saying not bad, I interview also a fresher. As sir was saying is a simple questions which are not answered, I don't take that. But if I explain, they're able to understand with. I ask a very simple behavior of the structure. Possibly they may not be in a position to get connected with a kind of a practice. But when I elaborate that, take a kind of a discussion, people are able to do that. So it is not a question on the kind of answering a question during interview. Is more important is whether they're able to understand, solve the problems. I think that is working very well. I think that's why we have a kind of a 9 months training program in our office. As we take a kind of a freshers, Only problem we face from city is people learn and they switch on to other companies. That's what we were facing. So we were taking a kind of a kind of a trainees from the within the kind of a Tamil Nadu. We go to Salem, we go to other Madurai, these things, second tier, 3-tier cities when we intake, and that's also working well. But with Anna University, certainly the education system is at a very high level. We can work out and see that there is a kind of a career path.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Just would like to add, actually the demand for civil engineers is probably very, very high. The kind of infrastructure development which is going on in the country, the need for civil engineers is not met fully. In fact, our experience, I would like to share, we recruit campus interviews we do and we take people. I think recently we took about 6 students and 5 of them have already left. Because when we recruit civil engineers, we post them at the site. And the environment, the mental preparation, because I say it's a peer pressure. Civil students versus probably every other student. Forget to put mechanical, electrical, maybe they'll have to go to. All other students are where do they go and work and where do the civil engineers work. So they are tuning in to prepare such harsh realities of practical life has to be also brought to them. In fact, they need not fear, the jobs are there, and any plan, anything, whether it is AI designed or whoever designed, has to be implemented on field. So civil engineers will not lose job.
Thank you.
Well, that was a very interesting and thought-provoking session. I now request the moderator to present the memento to the panelists. Can we have a big round of applause, please? I now request Mr. Shankar Pita, Head of Marketing and Business Development, on stage to present the memento to the moderator. Sorry, Mr. Shankar Pita won't be joining us today. Instead of him, I invite Gayatri ma'am to present the memento to the moderator. Let's have a big round of applause. I now request everyone to be on stage for a group photo. Thank you to our esteemed panelists for their valuable perspectives. I request them to take their seats. I now request the delegates to give their feedback on the session. There's a QR code displayed on the screen. Can we have the QR code, please? You can scan the QR code for the feedback form, or you can find these cards placed at your tables, which you can scan on your mobile phone. The next upcoming sessions are Vote of Thanks, BTS AV, and the National Anthem. As we come to the end of this enriching event, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the dignitaries, speakers, panelists, and attendees for making this day a grand success. A special thanks to Anna University and Nemetschek India for making this collaboration possible. To conclude with a vote of thanks, let's invite Professor Dr. K.P. Jaya, HOD, Structural Engineering. Ma'am, we request you on stage. Can we have a big round of applause?
Good evening. No sound. All tired. Good evening. Thank you. So we are here for what I can say, MOU signing and opening a Center of Excellence. We say that we are discussing more about architecture, engineering, construction and all. I am fortunate enough to work with architects, then structural engineers as well as the construction field also. I worked with Padma Shri Laurie Becker, Benny Kuriakos, and Padma Shri Shankar. I witnessed all these people used to draw the plan when the client is sitting across the table. So within that fraction of seconds, within a minute, they used to come out with very beautiful, innovative sketches. So Kumar sir was talking about using slide rules and all those things for the calculation. Yes, they used to use only paper and pencil for that. But that is not possible in this era, so we have to go about with other technology. Then structural engineering. I witnessed Professor P.K. Aravindan, IIT Madras, Professor Devdas Menon used to do the structural design for big auditoriums with their hand calculation. Then they will say this much steel, this much concrete, this is the thickness of the slab, this is the thickness of the beam. But it is not at all possible. The days have gone with the Canis method, Memento method and all. Now we have to go about with StatPro and so many other software we discussed today. Then construction. Earlier, maximum we used to construct in our childhood age, G, G+1, G+2, maximum to G+3. So that is possible with normal technologies. But there are multiple multi-story buildings in ECR road, IMR road and all. G+45, 46 are very common. And I heard recently that I read somewhere that Japanese are planning to construct 2-kilometer tall structure. So how we will go about with the normal technology? So we have to go about all the technologies what we have discussed today. I think now it's the right time to go about with all these new era, robotics, AI, ML, BIM, big data analysis and all those things. So that's the reason we are standing here today to inaugurate to conduct one-day seminar and signing an MOU. We are just stepped down on the last workshop on what I can say, last panel discussion. And as a briefing, we started with our inaugural session. Even though Madam Innocent Divya couldn't present in physical form, she extended all her support for the conduct of the program. We sincerely thank her for her wholehearted support. Give a big applause for her in absentia. And then Dr. Usha, member of convener committee, graced the occasion with her presence, even though in the midst of her busy schedule. We extend our sincere thanks to her also. And we, the civil engineering fraternity as a whole, extend our warm and great gratitude to the organization named NEMECHEC, correct? I think so. Yesterday I got from Gayatri how to spell. So, MD, Mr. Nirmalya Chatterjee, I think sir is here, and General Manager, Mr. Deepankar Patacharya, Ms. Gayatri, and all other team members from NEMECHEC for their initiative and choosing CEG to establish the Center of Excellence. Thank you all. Please give them a big round of applause for supporting us. Professor Shanmuga Sundaram, Director CUIC, and Professor Shibu, Deputy Director CUIC. Both are the strong pillars in the conduct of this seminar and MOU signing. Thank you, both of you. Thank you. And your children will applaud for you. Now, our HOD Professor Kanmani. Ma'am, without your support and your initiative, we couldn't complete this task. Thank you so much. And Professor Gunashekaran, Director P&D, was instrumental in the MOU signing process and getting the vetting process very faster pace. Without his support, it would have taken 1 year or 2 years for establishing the Center of Excellence. And Mr. Sendilnathan, Executive Vice President L&D, he was the keynote speaker and alumni of our department. Actually, he is the brand ambassador for CEG at L&D. He extends various kind of support to our students. He is the person who used to empower the next generation, really speaking, by arranging internship, giving occasions for the students to appear for the interview at L&D. I extend my sincere thanks to Mr. Sendilnathan. Thank you. And very special thanks to Mr. Nirmalya Chatterjee and Mr. Shiva Bala Subramaniam for taking us through the capabilities of AEC software. Thanks to both of them. Yes. And let us thank Mr. Ranjit for the conduct of the first panel meeting and setting the context. Also to the panel members, Mr. Arun from Casagrande, Dr. Velen from Zebros, and Dr. Benny Kuriakos from Benny Kuriakos and Associates for sharing their valuable guidance to the audience. Sincere thanks to each one of them. And Mr. Ravikant, he has given a highlight regarding the, whatever be the possible digital form of analysis and executing the project. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And in the last session, we witnessed the panel discussion moderated by Dr. Rani Vedamuthu. She was our registrar, former registrar, Dean School of Architecture and Planning, chairperson Faculty of Architecture, and the lady behind almost all the new construction happened in the campus, all the campuses, all the 4 campuses. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sparing your valuable time for coming here and moderating the session. And we extend our sincere thanks to the panel members, Dr. Kumar, Naveen Housing and Property Limited. Sir, thank you very much. And he was very keen and told that, kindly make sure that my presence will have value once I come there. Just for the namesake, I won't come. Sir, your presence had made a value to the audience as well as for us. Thank you for your presence. Mr. Ravikant from JNDF, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Kabilan Chandrasekharan, I think the interaction between Rani ma'am was very, very active and energetic because both of you are from architecture wing. So thank you so much. And Professor Murali Jagannathan from IIT Madras, thank you so much. At the last moment, we have disturbed you. And initially we requested Professor Indumati Nambi, and she was busy with something else. She told, I will make alternate arrangement. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you have given a very good insight about so many things about minor courses, major courses. We are also doing the similar kind of things in the campus, sir. And Madam knows, Rani ma'am knows. Then finally, it's my pleasant duty to extend my sincere thanks to, again, Dr. Shibu and his team for what I can say, doing all these arrangements. And it's not fair from my side if I am not spelling out the names of the team who are not belonging to civil department from various departments. Here you can see the multidisciplinary activity. Mr. Shirish Harish Kant, Vijay, Uday Chandrika, she is the Tamil, correct? Your league, yeah. Tamil MC. Sriram, Ilango, Kavya, Jisha, Deena Dayalan, Gunashri, Jnanashri. Your handwriting is very difficult to read. Ravi Kumar or Renu Kumar. What is the name you have given? Ram Kumar. Ram Kumar. Madhumida. Dancy. Dancy. Almas. Alston. Balakrishnan. Satishwaran. Thank you a lot from both the sides, from the civil department as well as Namachak. All other student volunteers, okay, thank you so much. Also extend our sincere gratitude to the director CUIC and his team for providing this hall and all other amenities for having food and all. Thank you so much. So, and special thanks to Shanmuga Sundaram sir for initiating this MOU, because he was very keen that we have to bring on Center of Excellence into the campus. Thank you so much, and thank one and all present here, and thank you for the organizers for giving me this opportunity to give away the vote of thanks, and thanks to Almighty too. Thank you all.
Now we have a short BTS video of the team that worked behind this event.